Welcome back to States and Kingdoms. Today we're talking about XTC and their album Nonsuch from 1992. We are an XTC channel.
This is the last This is the last XTC album
that we haven't
to review
done
or discuss.
Right.
Very
exciting. I really would love to do them all over again.
You will.
Okay.
You will.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've gone through all the other records, and it's been a lot of fun. Actually, the bands I most enjoyed talking about were the Beach Boys and Genesis and XTC, I think.
We are a Beach Boys, Genesis, and XTC channel.
No, we're not.
We're an Emerson, Lake and Palmer channel.
Well, sort of. Nonsuch was basically the last XTC album that you listened to.
Yeah, somehow it was.
And that's all I really wanted to say about that. It's really not interesting.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
Now that you say that.
Some people don't love XTC after Skylarking. Some people don't love them after Mummer. Some people don't love them after White Music. XTC, after Dukes of Stratosphere, Skylarking, and then Oranges and Lemons, it's really a fascinating period. Because as much, listening to this, really listening to this and taking mental notes, not physical ones because I'm too lazy, sort of mental Post-its, if you will.
Yeah, they're in your
or
brain.
If you won't, somewhere.
Where do you keep your mental Post-its?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what I do.
They're in a box.
Anyway, I was going to say that Nonsuch is a development for them that really isn't presaged by Oranges and Lemons as much as I thought.
When I really think about it and listen to them, Oranges and Lemons sounds like the 80s to me. It sounds like an 80s album.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Nonsuch really does sound like the 90s. This makes sense because it was made in the 80s and it was made in the 90s. My point is, though, that there is definitely more of a link between Nonsuch and Apple Venus than there is between Nonsuch and Orange and Lemons, which are closer together time-wise.
Yes.
Even though there's a lot of distance between Nonsuch and Apple Venus, those are connected.
We have clearly mastered the art of circumlocution, and that is important. But that was my point, yes, that it doesn't sound that much like Oranges and Lemons, which is kind of fascinating. And it shows that XTC, Andy Partridge in particular, but Colin too, we're still developing stylistically. And there's no reason to think that they wouldn't.
No, they're babies.
But after you'd already gone from the sound of White Music in 78 to, the sound of, say, Big Express, and then at least Sonic Sunspot, which to me is an XTC album, like through and through.
And it's a gem.
Yes, and Skylarking. And then the Orange Lemons, which is a very sophisticated, kind of bouncy pop sound, but very much XTC. Very much, there are songs on that sound like things on the Big Express. They sound like, things on Skylarking. To me, on Nonsuch, they move past those things. Mm-hmm. And this album still, unfolds to me the more I listen to it. I feel like I'm still going to discover things in this album. It's quite long, 63 minutes. Not terrible. It's not that long, but it is a double album.
Right.
And, but it is saturated with brilliance.
Yeah.
It is just unbelievable stuff. I mean, this is really for a band that was crafting just scintillating rock, pop songs, whatever you want to call it. And there's a soulfulness, there's cleverness, there's playfulness, like Omnibus, which is is very Andy, clever, slightly dirty, kind of but double entendres that are delightful.
Yeah.
And and yet also the ballads, the kind of Brian Wilson type ballads that are
beautiful, and they reach toward the sublime.
They're amazing.
Yeah, I mean those those songs, That Wave, Rook, and Wrapped in Gray,
Yes.
and Humble Daisy.
Yeah.
I would say those are like the highest of the high points for me on this album. They're just such gorgeous
also, like
songs.
Colin's My Bird Performs is also
Oh, yeah.
a beautiful.
Oh yeah, just
kind of
talking about
album.
Andy's songs where he's really going in that direction
Yes.
that you hear so much on Apple Venus, where it's just like these like gorgeous unfolding, like unfurling, swirling, like soaring, flying
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
They're just these like just absolutely beautiful melodies and orchestrations and
No, he
just,
does.
like,
I mean,
the craft of these songs just like unbelievable.
I just think there are people that are influenced by the Beach Boys, and there's also there's more than the Beach Boys in there, but I mean the people that were influenced by Brian, and you hear that this is really like he had cracked it. This is like the heir to that sound, and it really is stunning. And while Andy's writing songs like that, whether like the ones that you just said, Colin's songwriting is really interesting around this time too.
Going in a different direction.
I mean, you could say that. I mean, he was always the two amazing songwriters in XTC, as we always point out. Two brilliant songwriters. There's songs on this that almost remind me of like Burt Bacharach. It's they're also incredibly catchy.
Yeah.
There's almost a show tune-ishness to some of them, and that
you
actually
can
continued.
Kind of
I don't know if that's just me.
As
or
walking
just you.
out.
Yeah.
Or it's just us.
Just you and me. I don't know.
But yeah, his songs. I think we were saying, you and I, as we were talking, that even on some of the later albums where his songs, maybe at first glance, seem to be weaker than Andy's songs, or even just weaker than his earlier songs, but still his songs tend to be like the ones that you're going to be humming.
And
they're so catchy.
They are still on this. And something else interesting, the double album thing for XTC, because they definitely
I was going to bring that up.
They definitely have a kind of a flirtation with double albums.
Well, funny point. So all of their double albums, when I was first listening to XTC, I was listening on CD, and I did not know that they were double albums. Mm-hmm. I just thought they were, slightly longer than average albums.
I mean, they are only slightly longer.
Yeah.
Really, I mean...
I never listened to, like, English Settlement and thought, well, holy crap, this should be on 2 CDs.
Yeah. No, they never hit you with a melancholy and infinite sadness, or, even The Wall, I suppose. Or combine both. But I would say all of their double albums are different. Even though we always talk about, should it have been a double album? Could they have cut it down a little bit? On Nonsuch, it's debatable whether or not, because I do think maybe they should have just focused on the beautiful ballads that Andy was writing, because those are so unique, and he had really, he'd really found something very special with his ability to write those. Yeah, perfect songs, beautiful songs, and so it's debatable if things like Crocodile or Books Are Burning or things like that should have been on this, but honestly, I really like it the way it is. I do, and I think it flows well. I think it works well. None of the songs are that long. No, there's just a lot of them.
Yeah, and they're all so distinct. It's not like there's like a couple songs that are like so close stylistic wise, or
they complement each other well. Anyway,
you never think like, oh, that song's a little too close to that one. Like you could just picked.
And what's funny is that doing that, focusing on the beautiful, sublime ballads is what they did with Apple Venus, and I think that was the right choice, but they probably could have even gone further, or they could have just whittled down Wasp Star and put that into one. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough when a band is writing so much good material. I don't know, but
another thing is Andy's voice on this album. I feel like is just top of his game. I mean,
I think it is.
Yeah. No. I mean, he just sounds amazing. His range is amazing. He has like this just really good control, and it just sounds effortless. And I mean, when you really think about these songs, listen to them a lot, and focus in on his vocals, you know, they're pretty dynamic. You know, they're kind of all over the place and not easy to sing these songs.
No.
And he really does it in this effortless way. And yeah, it's just, you know, we were saying the other day that no one really says Andy Partridge when they're thinking about the greatest rock and roll vocalists. But I mean, he really is very good. And I think at this point, he's really just, he could basically sing anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, he can do Captain Beefheart. We've heard that, which is funny.
Yes,
but yeah,
really spot on.
I agree. His vocals at this point, I mean, he was always a great vocalist. You know, he had a distinct style, which is not easy to come by. But yeah, by this time, his voice had developed, and he does have such expressiveness in his singing. Also on Nonsuch, you still have, of course, Dave Gregory, which on Apple Venus and Wasp Star, you really don't. And you really miss him on those. I mean, he had so much. Some of the keyboard parts, the guitar parts are just so absolutely meticulously perfect.
He did so much arranging and yeah.
I think, you know, this album is a little daunting because it is long and there's a lot on it, and you know, it's got that kind of early 90s production, I suppose you could say, which I'm not always a fan of, but I don't mind here at all. It works. It's very good. I just think this album, you really have to sink into this one. You really do need to listen to it. And that's really the case for all XTC albums, but for something like this, it really is rewarding. It's going to continue to grow on you, to just, you know, show you new things, I think, the more you listen to it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching our discussion of Nonsuch. Please make sure to like this video. Let us know what you think in the comments, and also subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And we'll see you next time.